The world knew him as Clint Ion, the king of pop, a dazzling silhouette against a sky of screaming fans and flashing lights. When he stepped onto a stage, or simply into a room, an almost palpable energy shifted. Women would gasp, some openly weeping, others trembling with excitement, simply to be in his presence. There was an aura about him, a magnetism that transcended mere celebrity. He was an almost ethereal being, revered, adored, and sometimes, utterly consumed by the adoration. But beneath the sequined gloves and the blinding spotlight was a soul as tender, complex, and deeply yearning as the most poignant melodies he spun. To Alara, a quiet artist whose world revolved around the whisper of charcoal on canvas and the vibrant hues of nature, he would become simply Clint Ion. Their story was not one of grand public declarations or tabloid headlines. It was a whispered dream, a quiet symphony played out in the secluded corners of a fantastical realm. The boy who would become a legend had humble beginnings that seemed almost mythical in their starkness. Clint's early years, far from the gilded cages of fame, began in a cramped, two-bedroom house on Jackson Street in Gary, Indiana. The irony of the street name was not lost on those who knew the family's story. It was as if fate had marked their path from the very address where they lived. The house overflowed with music, the raw, untamed sounds of 9 children finding their voices under the watchful, demanding eye of their father, Joe. Joseph Walter Jackson was a force of nature, a man carved from steel and ambition, a former boxer and steel mill worker who saw not just children in his brood, but a path to a better life, a ladder out of the suffocating poverty that gripped their neighborhood like a relentless fist. Rehearsals were conducted in the living room, a space that transformed each evening from a family gathering place into a boot camp of rhythm and discipline. Joe's methods were as harsh as they were effective, his belt a constant reminder of the price of imperfection. There were no holidays from music. No typical childhood joys. While other children played in streets or watched cartoons, the Jackson children practiced scales, perfected choreography, and absorbed the relentless pursuit of perfection that their father demanded. Clint Ion, the 7th of 10 children, was a shy, sensitive boy with eyes that seemed too large for his delicate face, as if they had been designed to hold all the wonder and pain the world would pour into them. Even as a small child, he possessed an otherworldly quality that set him apart, a voice that could reach notes that seemed impossible for his tiny frame, a natural rhythm that pulsed through his very being, and an emotional depth that was both his greatest gift and his most profound burden. The physical abuse was real and scarring. Joe's discipline knew no boundaries, and Clinton, perhaps because of his sensitivity, seemed to absorb not just his own purism, his siblings' suffering as well. He often spoke, years later, of throwing up at the mere sight of his father approaching, the physical and emotional trauma leaving marks that would ripple through every relationship he would ever attempt to build. Yet within this crucible of fear and demand, a prodigy was being forged. By age 6, Clint Ion was the undeniable lead singer of the Jackson 5, his voice carrying not just melody but an emotional weight that seemed impossible for someone so young. Alongside his brothers Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon, he created magic on makeshift stages throughout the Midwest. Their youthful exuberance, their snappy choreography, and above all, Clint's astonishing vocal prowess soon caught the attention of industry scouts. When Berry Gordy Jr. of Motown Records first heard the Jackson 5, he knew he was witnessing something unprecedented. The combination of Clint's angelic voice with his brother's harmonies created a sound that was both innocent and sophisticated, youthful yet timeless. In 1969, I Want You Back exploded onto the charts like a musical revolution, followed in rapid succession by ABC, the Love You Save, and I'll Be There. Each song climbed the charts with meteoric speed, and suddenly, the Jackson 5 were not just performers but cultural phenomena. Clint Ion, barely a teenager, found himself singled out as the star among stars. His face graced magazine covers, his voice dominated radio waves, and his every move was scrutinized by an adoring but demanding public. The transformation was both miraculous and devastating. The shy boy from Gary was becoming a global icon before he had even fully understood what childhood was supposed to feel like. The move to Havenhurst, a sprawling estate in Encino, California, in 1971, marked a new chapter in the Jackson family saga. The house was magnificent by any standard, a testament to how far they had come from the cramped quarters of Gary. But for Clint Eastwood, it represented something more complex. It was both liberation from the grinding poverty of his early years and a new kind of prison, one with golden bars and velvet chains. Fame, he would learn, was a jealous master. As the Jackson 5 continued their meteoric rise, Clint Eastwood began releasing solo albums, showcasing an evolving artistry that hinted at the musical genius he would become. But it was his transition into adulthood that would truly reveal the depth of his talent and the complexity of his soul. Off the Wall in 1979 marked his emergence as a solo artist of unprecedented caliber. The album was a masterpiece of funk, disco, and pop, showcasing not just his vocal range but his growing sophistication as a songwriter and producer. Working with legendary producer Quincy Jones, Clint Eastwood crafted songs that were both commercially accessible and artistically ambitious. The album's success was a prelude to what would become the most significant musical achievement of the 20th century.